So as far as herbicides, post-emergent herbicides, the difference between a pre-emergent herbicide and a post-emergent herbicide, a pre-emergent herbicide will prevent weeds from coming up. A post-emergent herbicide will kill actively growing weeds. So there's this product right here is called Trimec. This is a very good general purpose post-emergent herbicide. It's very common. You can get this product at Lowe's and Home Depot. It has one of the main active ingredients is 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a very common post-emergent herbicide. It kills a lot of different weeds. This is excellent if you have a problem with dollarweed. This is an excellent product to use on dollarweed. It will just annihilate dollarweed.
What was the name of it?
Trimec. Or you can write down 2,4-D, which is one of the main ingredients in Trimec, and it's the thing that does such a good job on dollarweed.
Is that good for anything else besides dollarweed?
Yes, it's good for a number of broadleaf weeds. The difference between a broadleaf plant and a grassy plant is that a broadleaf plant, if you look at the leaf, it has a single vein going down the middle of the leaf and then it has branches coming off that vein. A grassy plant has all the veins going in the same direction. And that's the way herbicides are generally categorized, as far as they either are designed to only kill broadleaf plants, or they're designed only to kill grassy plants. So like a broadleaf herbicide, that's why you can spray it over the lawn, and unless, as long as I always have to qualify this, as long as you mix it correctly and apply it correctly, it won't hurt the grass, but it'll kill the weeds, the broadleaf weeds, because it's designed to kill broadleaf plants. Now, broadleaf plants also include shrubs and trees and things like that, not just weeds. Any broadleaf plant, it will kill. So you just got to kind of be careful. And one thing about Trimec is that you have to be careful. It has a rather low volatility, which means that it will volatilate. It will, when particles of this product can become airborne, and some plants can be sensitive even to the, to the air particles in particles of this in the air. And here's another thing: if you use this product in a sprayer, you cannot, if you're going to use the sprayer to spray other non-target plants later on with something other than weeds, don't do it. I killed my wife's garden one year because I had a sprayer that I had, this was several years ago, I had a sprayer that I had used Trimec in, and months ago. And my wife goes, "Hey, can you fertilize my garden for me?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can do that." So I mixed up some liquid fertilizer, put it in the sprayer, sprayed the garden, killed her garden. She still remembers it. So, yes?
In other words, you really can't, I've rinsed out my weed bottles before I spray. I rinse them out real good. That will still not work.
That's all. If you want to try it, you're welcome to try it. I'm not saying it can't, if you want to try and rinse it out, I would do that and then try it on, a non-target plant that I didn't like very much, and see, and as long as it didn't kill that one, then you're safe to do the rest of them. Yes, Tom?
If you're treating a olearch and you use like a garden sprayer that hooks to a hose, use that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, you can. You just make sure this, whenever you're dealing with herbicides, especially post-emergent herbicides, you just want to make sure that you're using the right amount, because all these post-emergent herbicides, most of them can burn a lawn or even kill a lawn if you're not careful. So yes, you can use one of those garden sprayers that hooks to the end of your hose, but if I did that, I would go way under the recommended amount as far as, you know, how much you're putting out. And because a lot of these will, if you use less than recommended amount, most of them will still work pretty well. But I would go way under, because those garden sprayers are not, the accuracy of them as far as distribution is not that good. Okay.
You said that one was like at Home Depot and those?
Yes, Trimec, 2,4-D, these products. I mean, you can also get it at Ewing, but these products are readily available at any garden store. It's very common herbicide.
So that would work on woody things too? Like I've got this one weed that looks almost like a false thyme that has a root that goes down and spreads out in all directions. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, is it in the grass, in the lawn?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's an annual because I've ripped it out, but by the time I get to it, generally it has receded.
Yeah, and it's got a woody stem. Does it have like little tiny round leaves, or round kind of?
Like I said, it looks like a creeping thyme is really what
Yeah.
it looks like, but it's very circular.
Right.
And it goes underneath the grass, but eventually it'll kill it.
Sounds like what it is. It sounds like a weed called Lespedeza. It could be that. Could be it. However, there's another product here called MSM, and if that weed is Lespedeza, this will do a lot better job on that. MSM is also a broadleaf herbicide, but it will control some things that the Trimec won't. I mean, there is no one herbicide that will control everything. That's why you have to have kind of a number of different herbicides in your herbicide arsenal to control all the different weeds, because there's some weeds that some herbicides just won't touch, and you have to use a specialty product to do it. MSM, now you probably won't find this at Lowe's or Home Depot. You probably have to go to Ewing for this one, but it will control that Lespedeza like you're talking about.
Also the one that you mix, or is that brand new?
These are all ones that you mix. These are all ones that you'll need to get like a pump-up sprayer and mix it.
What's that one popular for, in your opinion?
Well, this one will control this will kill a lot of broadleaf weeds like the Trimec will, but it also will control like some woody type weeds. Like there's certain weed that we control with it called Lespedeza. Don't ask me how to spell it, but it's this does a good job on that. There's two weeds that are just a scourge in this area, and one of them we've already talked about, which is chamber bitter. The other one that's just really a pain is Virginia buttonweed. If Virginia buttonweed is a weed, it's kind of like you described, although it's not woody. It's a weed that comes up and then it just spreads out. And Virginia buttonweed is one of the few weeds that will just outcompete a healthy lawn, because it'll just grow up and it'll just push the grass out. And if you don't kill it or get out and pull it out, when it's removed, when it's gone, there won't be any grass left because it's just pushed all the grass out. It has Virginia buttonweed, the leaves on it. It almost looks like a grass. It almost looks like a crabgrass, but it's not. It's a broadleaf weed, and it has, it's usually green or sometimes has red leaves. The leaves are sometimes red, and it has a little tiny white flower on it. And Virginia buttonweed and chamber bitter are controlled well by Celsius. This is not, Ewing doesn't even carry this because they don't have, it's made by Bayer. Now you can order this through Amazon or online. You can buy it. If you're in Pensacola, John Deere Landscapes, well, it's called
One Source.
it's Site One or One.
That's it, yeah.
Site One, yeah, right. And they have an office. They just opened an office in Fort Walton. I don't know if they're carrying this yet or not. It's over there.
There's one in Santa Rosa Beach.
And there's one in Santa Rosa Beach. Yeah. This is kind of expensive. This bottle is a little over $100. But it's the only thing, one of the only things that will kill Virginia buttonweed, and about the only thing that will kill chamber bitter once it's up and growing. So
What's the temperature range that would you apply that?
you can actually apply this, I'm glad you asked that question, because those other ones do have a temperature range. You can apply this pretty much year round. You got to be a little more careful in the summer applying it, especially on St. Augustine. But you can, you know, when we use it year round, and it does a great job at keeping chamber bitter and Virginia buttonweed under control. Trimec.
Can I ask you a quick question
Yes.
about these ingredients, these things up here? I know a lot of people keep stuff in their garage, and I've always wondered, is the garage too hot to store these, to store them in the house?
I've never heard of any temperature limitations on storing those.
Okay.
I just cleared a lot right here in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Now I come across, it's like a vine that was strangling my trees.
Mhm.
I got it out the trees, but I'm finding balls of roots, like size of golf balls. What can I do for that?
Roots. Are you talking about roots, or are you talking about like fruit off the vine?
Roots.
Roots. Okay.
You know,
Probably.
like
Does the vine have thorns on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's greenbrier vine. Greenbrier is, you know, probably if you had a landscape, you've seen greenbrier vine. It's a nasty vine that grows up, and it has these leaves on it. And it usually grows up right in the middle of a shrub, and you can't spray it because it's in the middle of the shrub, and you have to pull it out. And it has these potato-like roots on it. Roundup will kill that greenbrier vine, and if it's growing up in the middle of a shrub or another non-target plant, the best thing to do is gently pull that vine out of that shrub, lay it on the ground, if it's on the grass, then put something between the grass and the vine and spray it with Roundup. But make sure it stays attached to the root, because the Roundup will, you know, the plant will absorb the Roundup and it'll go back and kill the root. Roundup does control greenbrier vine. You can spray, if it's growing up the side of a tree, you can spray the Roundup right on the tree trunk and it won't hurt the tree, as long as it doesn't get on the leaves of the tree.
So on the trunk of the tree, because I got these scrub oaks.
Yeah, that's okay, as long, yeah, it's Roundup will not be absorbed by the tree bark, by the trunk of the tree, and you can spray the vine on the tree and it'll kill it. Roundup is only absorbed by leaves. It's not absorbed by roots, so it's not going to, if you cut it off, it's not going to do any good to spray the ground, because if there's no leaf surface that the Roundup is you're spraying on, you're not going to hurt the plant. You know, there's not going to do anything to kill the plant. So you have to have leaves, or even that vine, that greenbrier vine, the stem of the vine itself is green, and even spraying the stem is going to, the Roundup is going to be absorbed into the plant, but just spraying the ground is not going to help. Okay. Another product here, we were talking earlier, I think, where usually this time of year you'll start to see these little weeds come up, and they look like really dark green tufts of really fine grass, and they'll have a stem, and they'll have a little soft ball on the top of it. It looks like a sand spur. That's globe sedge, or can be nut sedge. A sedge is actually a different variety of plant than a grass. It looks grassy, but you know, it is a different. It's not classified as a grass. This product, Image, is a good product to control that sedge with. You can spray it over the grass. You can spray it all year round, and you don't have, you know, you can spray that sedge and it'll kill the sedge. Okay. Again, Ewing has this. Let me go back to the talking about temperature at time of application. Trimec it's especially important that you don't use this in hot weather. Okay, usually 80 degrees and below it's safe to use this. Now, I don't recommend you do this at home, but we, we've kind of tweaked our formulations to where we use this year round, but it's not a, you don't do it at home, okay? Because you can easily burn your grass if you use that when the temperature is hot. Okay, so for grassy weeds, these are broadleaf herbicides that will kill broadleaf plants in grass. Grass Getter is a grassy herbicide that will kill grassy plants, but it won't have much of an effect on broadleaf plants. However, centipede grass will tolerate Grass Getter. So if you have, say, crabgrass growing in centipede, you can use this product Grass Getter to kill the crabgrass, but it won't hurt the centipede. Any other kind of grass, St. Augustine, zoysia, Bermuda, Grass Getter will damage it. But centipede, this is a good product to use if you have crabgrass growing in centipede.
Will it kill torpedo grass?
No, nothing will kill torpedo grass.
There is a chemical that they have at that
It-
site one that does. But
It'll suppress it. It'll suppress it, but it won't kill it. You're probably talking about Vantage.
yeah, I'm not I don't know. It's in one of those bottles that look like that.
Yeah.
It just looks chemical looking.
I can tell you there's nothing that will annihilate torpedo grass. Torpedo grass, if you're not familiar with torpedo grass is it's a grassy weed. You see it a lot in wet, marshy areas. It almost kind of looks like St. Augustine. It kind of has a bluish color to it, and the stems and grass blades are kind of stiff. But what makes it so hard to control is that it has extensive underground runners that just go and go and go and go. And if you kill it off in one area, it'll pop up in another, and it'll just keep coming up. I've had customers that have had an area of torpedo grass in their yard. They've sprayed it with Roundup, killed off everything, waited until everything was brown, scraped it all down, replanted the sod, and it still came back. So what I normally tell people that are dealing with torpedo grass, just the good and the bad about it is that the bad about it is you really can't. You'll just wear yourself out trying to control it. There are products that will suppress it, but you'll just have to keep on it. The good news is
products that suppress it kills St. Augustine, doesn't it?
Well, torpedo grass, one of the things about it is it doesn't get dense, so it can commingle with your other turf grasses, and it won't crowd it out. It'll just commingle, and if you keep it cut and keep it maintained just like your other grass, I mean it'll kind of blend in and you won't really notice it. If you're a lawn connoisseur, and you really like the purity of one kind of grass, I'm sorry. It's just going to be really, you're going to have to move to get away from it.
Now, if you had to use some of these, like say 2 items for different things, can you spray one and then go back and spray with the other the same day?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's a good question. What we do during the summer is we'll take these 2 items, because this one's for just to save time, because we're going to house after house after house to treat. So to save time, we'll take this item for nutsedge and this item for chamber bitter and Virginia buttonweed and mix them in the same sprayer, and that way, it's a little less cost effective that way, but it sure saves a lot of time going around. And we'll mix them together, and we'll treat nutsedge and chamber bitter and Virginia buttonweed with one sprayer with these 2 products in it. So you can do that. I'm just trying to think if there's anything, you obviously wouldn't want to mix this with a broadleaf together, because that would, you would be killing everything then. But I think you could probably, I think you could probably, different herbicides have different modes of action. So, like for instance, the MSM and the Trimec have different modes of action. So if you wanted to mix these two together to have a broader spectrum of effectiveness against, more weeds, you could do that. Or if you wanted to just be selective and mix a spray of one and mix a spray of other, you could go through and spray one right after the other if they were in different containers. Okay? Yes?
Is there any problem with your pets with any of these products?
Yeah, good question. What you want to do is after you treat the lawn, just make sure that the product is dry on the treated area before you let the pets out. The way these are formulated is they're formulated to adhere to the leaf surface or the plant surface that they're applied on. So as far as just pets going out and walking on the area, or kids playing or whatever, it's going to be okay for them to do that after the product is dried.
And what is your general dry time, depending on what time of day it is?
Yeah, like on a day like today, it would take 15-20 minutes. Yeah, it wouldn't take that long. If it's humid and cold, it's going to take longer, but the hotter, drier it is, I mean, like during the summer, we'll be treating the lawn and we'll be using the power sprayer, and by the time we're done with the front yard, the backyard is already dry. I mean, so it doesn't really take that long, especially during the summer. Okay?